Hey performers, happy midweek video. Hope you guys are all doing great. You are the front lines of all we do, and I thank you wholeheartedly for your efforts every day, your long drives, and all kinds of crazy situations you get in. And I'm a little envious because of all the joy you get every day. And as you know, I used to perform a lot, and I couldn't believe I got paid to do this job. And it's wonderful to make an investment in kids and to feel all their admiration and teachers going, you guys are amazing every day. You know, I want to share with you a couple things here. Actually, one thing, and talk about GPA, which is our gear purchase average, and let you know where we are as a company. The big picture is that we dropped by 8% last year across the board in GPA. That means if you were Gap store, and you did year-over-year sales, store over store, we would have dropped 8%. And so it's very strange that it happened, and I know that you guys know what to do for GPA because we've been at a much higher level. And so I think I just want to go through a refresher with you and how GPA works and why it's so important. So Tim's here with me.
Hey guys.
Yeah, hey. So we talked about this at our training in June, that the way the company is able to sustain our mission to love on kids is to make money. If you don't make money, you close the doors. So the simple formula is three things. It's the number of kids we see, which is largely the responsibility of the ACEs, but it's a lot yours as well with show sharing and the networking you'll be doing with the iPad soon. So it's the number of kids we see times the gear purchase average. So it's our revenue per student. We take away the overhead, and that's when we have profit at the end of the year. So we're talking about this right now, which has dropped 8%, which is a huge drop and a significant problem financially for us. So I'm going to talk mostly about yo-yos with Ned, but Kindness Adventure, you four awesome folks are in this boat together. Just translate it to Kindness, Kenyan treasures. When I talk about yo-yos, it's the same. There's very little different. So 8% drop. What that means is with yo-yos is we have sold a year ago 152 yo-yos per show. We're now selling 140. Those 12 yo-yos that we're not selling is hundreds of thousands of dollars for us. And the average number of kids we see in a school is 385. So if you take away the 140 yo-yos that we're now selling, that's 245 kids that aren't buying. And so we're trying to get, of the 245 kids that aren't buying, 12 more to buy, 5% of those to buy. That would put us where we were 2 years ago. Last year we dropped 2%, or 2 years ago we dropped 2%, and then this year we dropped another 8%. So something's going on, we have to correct it really quickly. So I kind of wanted to give you a global picture, and then when Tim sends you out his individual emails with a lot of detail, you know where it fits into the puzzle. Another piece is that we do 2 sales to make our business work. The first one is what the ACEs do and you do with referrals to get us into the schools. That's the first sale. And then you might be thinking, I'll just do the show and our job's done. Well, no, there's another sale, and that is the yo-yos. And so really half your job is to do a great show, and sometimes we think that's the only thing. But the other half is this very subtle dialogue that happens between you and the host as you're doing paperwork, as you're meeting the office staff, as you're talking in the show about the sale. That is what sets up the sale. And it's more insidious, it's very casual the way it happens, but there's very distinct moments where you can make a huge difference in future reality in that sale and how you work with your hosts. So let's take a look here. My big analogy, let me grab my piece, is that it's like making a cake. A good sale is like making a good cake. You know that and I had the staff pull the ingredients for a cake. So a cake involves white sugar, depends on your cake, half cup of butter, eggs, vanilla extract, all-purpose flour, baking powder, milk, and then there's frosting. That's got margarine, sugar. I like this. I used to make this when I came home from college and put it on graham crackers. It was so good. Half teaspoon of vanilla for this one, and some milk. Well, what would happen if you got a cake and somebody was careless with one ingredient? So what if they cracked the eggs and like, oh, there's a little shell in there. No big deal. You wouldn't feel good about having that cake if that shell was in your piece of the cake. What if they put in not enough sugar and it tasted like bread and it wasn't sweet? So you get my point. Too much milk, too dry, too wet, whatever. Too much oil, no oil. Oh, we don't need oil. Let's put in whatever, something else for oil. What do you think we should put in there, Tim?
Instead of oil?
Yeah.
How about motor oil?
Oh, there you go.
It
Anyway.
feels the same pretty much.
You didn't have to go that far. Just a little twist of the ingredients, a little bit off, 5% one way or the other, and your cake, which has been perfected over generations to make that perfectly moist and wonderful tasting cake with the combination of all the ingredients and the right bake time. It's taken decades to perfect that. Well, at All for Kids, we've perfected the sale, but you can't play loose with it. You have to remember, oh, this is a significant moment. The host just said that. I need to say this, and to help them see how that would be a better benefit for them, the kids, and for us. So let's just go through what some of those are to make our cake. The sale runs for 5 days. That's 5 school days. We don't say 5 days because they might think, oh, the weekend, great. So we only get a 3-day sale. There's probably 20 things around that we watch out for. I'll do a deep dive in that in a minute. Secondly, we tell the host the sale can go 2 weeks if needed. Well, why wouldn't we do that? If their sale's ripping and they're like, oh, I'll just end it. Well, you just lost a bunch of GPA in a school that is a sale, their sale has legs. 3, we wear the yo-yo holster and the yo-yos, and we show them before the show, during the show, we wear them after the show, we rep. 4, we send home the letter. We want that send home letter done before. If it's not, we ask for it to be done the day of. In worst case, it gets sent out the following day. But we fight for that. Number 5, we start the sale the day of the show. That's the very best case scenario because kids have money if the letter's gone out. We want to get the pump primed as quickly as possible. If necessary, we'll do the show the next day. But definitely we don't want it 2 days, 3 or 4 or 5, or you're there on a Wednesday and like, oh, we're going to start it Monday. That's just a no, it's just a complete stop. So that's super important. And Tim, of course, is sending you these individual emails to talk about when you talk about it, how to talk about it, where to talk about it, and what to say. We want the kids to have an ed zone, and at least for the 5 days of the sale. That allows everybody to see who are the reluctant adopters. Oh, this is happening. I want to get my item. This is great. It also does several other things. It reinforces an ed message, and so on. Item 7, we announce the time and place of the sale and the show. That makes everybody go, oh, this is really happening. And the kids set up a date in their mind with that yo-yo they want. Oh, it's going to be in the library starting tomorrow at 10 a.m. The specificity of that is super important for a kid to go, I'm doing this. We make friends with the office staff. We do yo-yo tricks. We give them a yo-yo. We want them to be on our team and go, we like these people because they're the ones that are going to send out the letter. Sometimes they're going to do the sale. Sometimes they're going to be there when the PTA person is missing on Thursday and the kids come in and go, hey, I want the yo-yo sale. I'm like, okay, all right, I can handle that. Jody's out. I'll do it for you because I like that guy or that gal. We don't have the sale after school only. Some schools want that. We know from experience that that's a dead end because not enough kids can get to the sale. We want it during a nice quiet time, or not quiet time, but a nice space during the middle of the day where everybody has a chance to make their purchase and nobody doesn't make their purchase and they're like, yeah, I just don't want to do it. It's too hard. It's too long of a line. I got to catch my bus. 10, how many of you think you might want to learn how to yo-yo? That's a super important line in the show. Everybody sees everybody else's hands go up. And again, the reluctant adopter's like, oh, this is going to be a cool thing at the school. I'm not going to be a geek standing out. I remember Tim and I did a show in Hawaii with kendamas. And we never got into the cool zone of the cool factor. And it just didn't take off because we couldn't create the fact that everybody knew this was going to be in and a really neat thing to do. But that's what that line does in the show, non-negotiable. 11, the sale should be at a table in a common area. And we don't want it in the office because the office staff's going to be frustrated working out of a little window. Sometimes it happens that way with private schools. And when you're big schools, we know that if they have a rip-roaring sale, one sale table and one sale time won't be enough. So we talk to them about that. We're like, hey, we don't want you to have a train wreck, so you might want to set up a second time a day or maybe 2 tables because you got 800 kids, and we can see your kids really respond to the program. 12, do non-show yo-yo tricks and pre-show fun. Just another way to appetize kids for yo-yos. That, in my mind, is not one of the super crucial ones, but it's helpful. 13, the host should know that reordering is easy. It's common. I used to say about every third school reorders something, so here's how you do it. It's super easy. There's no cost to you to send it out or to take it back if you overorder. But if you're going to run out, order early because you don't want to take, money from the kids and have them wait a day. Just, it's the best to do it immediately and have the product there, even if you have to guess. And then a couple other things I added. Reiterate the sale to the higher authority or the office staff when appropriate or needed. Sometimes you'll have a host who is, I'm right here. Sometimes you'll have a host where you're like, something just didn't connect there. And so what I would always do is go to the office and say, hey, I talked to, Max about how the sale works. I just want to go over it with you so you know. The letter needs to go out today. We agreed to that. But already know that Max maybe's like, I don't think he's going to do it. So can you guys do that? And then the sale runs for 5 school days. So it's going to start tomorrow in the gym in the morning during that, half hour before school starts and all the kids congregate. And so it's going to be there for 5 days. Max is going to run it. And I just kind of go over the packet with them again. So somebody who is more maybe coherent knows. Or if the principal's my friend and delegated it off to somebody else, I'll go to them and say, hey, let me just go over with you just really quickly what I went over with them. This letter needs to go out. The sale is 5 days. The time and place of sale is XYZ. And just the critical things that are really important for that sale. So if anything breaks down, they don't go, whatever. They're like, oh no, I like that. Our performer, they showed me what to do and I know how to carry it out. And then obviously you need to rock your show. You've got to do that because that's the catalyst that drives that sale. And that's about loving the kids, creating a connection. When you're done with your show, you should feel like, there's an old-fashioned word, virtue. You should feel like something good came out of you and that you made an investment in humanity. You made an investment in those kids and you're just like, wow, I could die today and be happy because that show was so great. That's what needs to happen. What that does, the rocket fuels in the rocket to send that sale, into outer space. The goal is to create a clear, compelling picture of future reality and to make sure there's no train wreck. So you're captain friendly in charge. You don't want to end up with that person go, what? This is a mess. I never want to do this again. You just want to make sure they see it and go, oh, that makes sense for the kids and for me. Okay, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. All right, I just want to go to a couple other things over here. The ACE is supposed to set up a lot of the sale. They make sure that the send-them letter goes out ahead of time. Ideally, sometimes to get the booking, they can't. They get the minimum, but most of the time, they make sure the letter goes out ahead of time. The school knows there's a net zone, that it's a 5-day sale, that it's for 5 school days, what the items are. If not, you do it. You're the point of our spear. Don't say, we'll call the ACE or call customer care, or you do it. You've got the authority, you're the expert, you do hundreds and hundreds of shows a year. So that's the captain friendly. And then when I talked about the kind of insidious, very subtle nature of half your job setting up this sale, it's about reconfirming with your host and tightening up at each point of conversation these 13 to 16 things that we just talked about. And I'll just give you an example. Once I was auditing a performer and watching them. The P3 said the time and place of the sale. The performer was with the person who was in charge of the sale but didn't book it. And the performer said, now where would you like to do your sale? So they basically took the eggs out of the batter and asked that person to re-crack them. A little tedious thing where you could get shells in there. It had already been done. So what the performer needed to say was, oh, I see the time and place of your sale is X. That's awesome. And move on. But don't undo anything that's already been done. Keep moving forward. And now if you say it that way, oh, I see this is already done. That's great. I'll mention that in the show. Now you've just tightened the lug nuts down a little bit better and made a clearer picture of the future. And then in the show, you're going to say it again. Now everybody knows. So you've gotten, the ACE has done it. You've reconfirmed it without asking a question or making it possible for them to step back out. And then you have talked about it in the show. So now the whole culture knows about it. It's done. There's no backing out of it. So we do that with everything. In the show we say the time and place of the sale is going to be X. The letter's already gone out or it's going to go out today. And once you do that in the show, once you reconfirm it with the host at each point of conversation, you cement it in the show or you tighten those lug nuts down, to change my metaphor. So I just want to share with you a couple things that we're doing as a company. I believe you guys are the largest, most important influencer of GPA without a doubt. But there's some other things that the company's doing besides emphasizing training with you. We are training the ACEs and talking to them about how important it is. We just generated a new send-home letter that's a lot more clear about the yo-yos, and it took a lot of the clutter away from what it was before. We are stopping rebooks, having the same school have us year after year. We found that there's a 22% drop in sales. And so when you do the whole math, the numbers shows we rebook, we can eliminate 2.8% of that 8% by stopping our rebooks. There will still be some shows that we rebook that have high sales that we can afford that drop to a basement that's not too low, below where we do okay financially. And then, and that's why we asked you guys to stop rebooking, which kind of is going to make your post-show business work a lot easier. And then we're creating new yo-yo artwork. It won't all be in the system until sometime in the fall. So kids have seen, a 6th grader who's seen the show in 3rd grade or 2nd will see something new that's appetizing and maybe want to collect. And then of course we have the new Mindset Mission show that's coming. I think that's going to create excitement. So this is a lot of information, but I really wanted to give you guys like a global picture of what's happening and what your job is and all the pieces. And the last thing I want you to do is in the next 24 hours to call my number at the office here, and this is it, 425-977-4833. Let me know you've listened to the video, you've got it. If you have any questions, you can you can leave them on there, and I will forward them to the trainer. I'm obviously not going to be the one responding to you. But that's the number to call, 425-977-4833. But wait, there's more. If you call in the next 5 minutes, you'll get a set of beautiful Ginsu knives that chop beautifully. If you call in the next 2 minutes, there's even more. We'll give you 2 sets of Ginsu knives. Actually, none of that's true. But do call the number. And thanks for the courtesy laugh, Tim. Do call my number, 425-977-4833 in the next 24 hours. And I will love hearing your voice and your feedback on GPA and hopefully your confirmation that, hey, I already do this, or thank you, the big picture is helpful. I'm going to work really hard on my GPA and love kids and make a difference. And I get everything you said. But if you have questions, leave them too. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for your time today and have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.